Good evening, everybody. Hope you can hear me and see me, and I'm kind of in the middle of the frame, and oh, it is a bit weird actually. There we go. Still not in the middle. Anyway, we won't mess with that. Hopefully you can hear me and see me. Let me know in the chat if that is the case. If I am behind or ahead, I will fart about for 10 minutes until we fix that. But other than that, let's see who we've got joining us tonight. Oh, look at this. Look at this for a first chat. We have a new member. Martin L. Welcome to the Adventurers. Yes, indeed. Alright, we'll start out with the shilling straight away then, shall we? If you want to join the channel, there should be a button down there. You get zero benefits other than access to a lot of extra emojis and that warm fuzzy feeling knowing you're supporting a small creator. One day I will do something. I'll do extra videos. But it's hard enough keeping up with what I've got at the moment. So thank you very much. It is very much appreciated. Everybody that's a member or has ever done super chats or anything like that, it is totally appreciated. All this costs a bleeding fortune at the moment, as I'm sure you all know. So every little helps. Thank you very much. So thank you, Martin. Evening, he says. NJW, hi from Doncaster. Hello from a Baltic Sheffield. It is currently -3, I think. -2. And has been since last week. I think we had snow here on Saturday, and it's still here. Hasn't gone away. Not had that since I lived up in Scotland. It's normally snows a couple of days later, it's gone. But it's nice and toasty in here, as you can see. I'm in my t-shirt because it's. You might even see a few changes. I've moved the goldfish around. They were in this tank, but I've moved them into what was Humphrey's old tank, because now the discus are upstairs. So we've got some new things have been going on. Welcome to the club, as Mickey says, quite rightly so. Mark Stelson, hello. Evening from a Baltic Edinburgh, says Ross. I know. And a frozen Fife, says David. And just a normal hi from Sweden. I'm sure it's pretty cold there as well. Well, have you all got your drinks, refreshments, snacks tonight? I'm being very boring, actually. I'm going for all the same drink. It was on offer. I couldn't refuse it. I quite like this one. So I've gone with the Brewdog Lost Lager. So it's not that weird a beer. It's not that strong a beer. So hopefully I'll make it through the actual live stream this time without slurring my words. It's just a nice, simple, crisp, cold, carbon negative beer. So by drinking this, I am adding trees to the planet, or something like that. We will, of course, be drinking this out of the Aquarium Adventures tanker. Well, that'd be quite a cool thumbnail or something. Yes, the world's first carbon negative beer, made at our carbon negative brewery using 1/3 less water, powered by wind turbines. We plant trees. The Lost Forest in the Scottish Highlands is our big restoration plan to help create a carbon clean planet. And it doesn't hurt that it doesn't taste offensive. But after all these weeks of drinking dark, hoppy, big, strong flavours, big, strong alcoholic content, it's somewhat of a relief. Not learned how to pour beer anymore. Mark's got the token Aussie. There's probably, summer there, so it'll be roasting, won't it? Kaylee, good evening. Lee, good evening. The Miffed Matelot. Is that right? Fish Vet's in. Holla y'all. I can't get away with saying that. The Miffed Matelot. I need cheering up this evening. My female epistogramma died today, and I have no idea why. All the fry have survived, and the male is stepping up and protecting them. Sorry to hear that. I mean, breeding can be a stressful time, even in humans. Kids can cause you all kinds of anguish. So it might just be one of those things you have to write off as, rather, one of those things. But yeah, I feel your pain. It's not nice when a fish dies. Lily's in, which has reminded me about the calendar. We're going to push the calendar big tonight. Oh, we've had a subscription I saw pop up somewhere. I'm so confused. I've got my face in 3 different places, and I can't remember which one I'm meant to be looking at. That one. Loud and clear. Right, okay, we've got that off to a good start. I'm going to try GoPro. It has worked. So, I can't get away without... In fact, let's just get rid of my coupon. There we go. I can't get away without putting some kind of... What word am I trying to say? Reflection. So it's right up against the glass, so I can only capture a little bit of Mega Tank. But this is Mega Tank in front of me. My big tank, bane of my existence. Huge project. As you can see, I've made a few changes. Oh, you might not be able to see actually, but I've added in some fake plants because Humphrey won't tolerate real plants, so I just wanted to have something in there. Some fake plants, some wood, some stones. I've basically created 3 little outcrops for things to hide because Humphrey has a tank mate. I only did this today because I knew I would be in here all day and all night, so I wanted to make sure I had long enough to monitor it and make sure Humphrey wasn't going to just out and out kill it immediately. And I mean, I very much have to touch wood, but he hasn't killed it yet. There you can see it in the background there. It's the gold som. I've moved it over into Mega Tank. Humphrey has been very interested, but hasn't attacked, hasn't shown any aggression yet. And I've given lots and lots of little hiding spaces in Mega Tank so that the gold som can get in, but Humphrey can't get in. So he's got lots of space to get away from things. I fed them both earlier today and they ate together. I say that as if they sat up at the table and had a nice convivial meal. No, they ate without any territorial aggression or feeding aggression or anything like that. They both ate a few pellets each and went about their way. I mean, they're currently at different ends of the tank, but they're not... You can see the gold som's out, it's not hiding. And Humphrey's out just doing what Humphrey does. I can see him, obviously, you can't see him. But yeah, they're just feeling each other out at the moment and going about their own thing. So we'll do a bit of a feeding with them later. And I might have some different angles, but this is the only angle I can show you of Mega Tank that doesn't actually just get ruined by reflections everywhere. So every now and again you might see a fish swim past. There's quite the size difference. I didn't think it was quite as big a size difference as it turned out to be. Come on, Humphrey, get in the shot. You're ruining this. He spent the last hour just staring at the GoPro and like dancing for the camera almost. Now he's just gone off, going, no, I know you're live streaming. I'm not coming up and being on the camera. So we'll leave it here for a little while and you can see what's going on. But the gold som did actually spend a day, well, a good few hours in Humphrey's smaller tank because it jumped out of the other tank and into Humphrey's tank. And I came down and found them both chilling, so I thought, well, we'll give it a chance. I'm not actually showing you this tank because I'm an idiot. Oh, God. There we go. Sorry everyone, I've got a new version of OBS and I haven't quite figured it out. So there you go, there's Humphrey and the gold som. And the fake plants and the wood and the stones. I realise you've just been sat watching me. I hope I wasn't picking my nose or anything. Anyway. They're doing their thing. Like I say, I'm happy that I did this first thing this morning. I put them in together and they haven't anything that I've seen Humphrey investigate. He's gone in and investigated and ripped it to shreds immediately. So that hasn't happened, but you know, I'll just need to keep a close eye on it. I've given them a good, what is it now, 9 o'clock? I've been in here a good 12 hours and so far so good, so we'll just have to keep an eye on things and see how we get on. So anyway, sorry, I shall catch up now. Evening guys, says Dan the Fish Nerd. Evening Dan. Lanx Fish Keeper is in. Sound and vision okay, glad to hear about that. Mickey's in. Scott's in. Good evening and don't forget to hit the like. How's everyone? Loud and clear. -2 in Bristol, says Freshwater Ichthyology. There is frost and ice developing on a week's worth of frost and ice. Quite, yes, I know that feeling. I've got gates at the end of my driveway and they had iced themselves shut. There's just like a covering of ice and they wouldn't open. There we go. Mulled wine. Kaylee's on the mulled wine. Yes, we've got fake Christmas this weekend as well. I've got my wife's family's all coming down on Sunday. If any of you are watching, hello. So we're doing the pre-Christmas Christmas with that lot, and then my family are coming down for actual Christmas. So got turkey and all the trimmings. I'm the chef this weekend, so it'll be the dry run for the big do next weekend. Mark's in. A scorching +1 in Newcastle. Wow. Ross is on. Tom Morris 1821 from St Andrew's Brewery. Ah, old Tom Morris. Or is it young Tom Morris? Because there are two Tom Morrises. Bet you didn't think you'd get golf trivia when you joined in tonight. Nabokov fan 87. Hello everyone. US West here. It's cold but not snowing. Well, it's not snowing here, but it has been. How's the sass? Callum, Callum, you're making me pee my pants. Callum, for those who don't know, I have a Discord server. I would normally go like that and point to a link, but I don't have the equipment down here. It'll be in the description or something. Join us on Discord, you can hang out on there, but there's a channel in there called Memes, where Callum has taken to re-editing all my videos, or clips of my videos, and putting his own special spin on them. But they have made me laugh. So go and check that out if you haven't already. Courtney, hello. God, we've got both the Smiths in tonight. Why do you not have a spanner, Courtney? I'm sure we did. Or is that a different Courtney Smith? Because you do have a spanner. Oh, this is weird. Can't see yet. Graham's an idiot. Yes, we know. Sorry. Miffed Metalot, a very smooth Glenrothes single malt to sip on. 18 years in the making, almost certain to make me happy. Well, that will be better then. Hopefully that gets you a little bit happier after your loss. I'm teasing. No, I'm not teasing you. I'm just an idiot. I'm sorry. We cannot see. Oh, okay. Oh, look at this. Questions. Are there any fish illegal to keep in your area that you envy another country's access to? I mean, there definitely are fish that are illegal to import here and I guess therefore keep. I'm struggling to think of any that I'm like, oh, I really wish I could get that. I know in the US, for instance, snakeheads and arowana, Asian arowana, aren't allowed in a lot of the states. That would probably annoy me. I really like snakeheads, even though I've not had much luck with them. And I would like to keep an arowana. I did have a Giardini arowana, but yeah, I've not had much. This is going to be a story of how much not luck I've had. But snakeheads and arowana, I do plan on keeping again. But they're not legal, so I'm fine with that. I'm not sure. I just don't know enough about things that are illegal. I don't know that I want to know, because then it might upset me that I'm not allowed it. If that makes sense. Don't know. Let me know. What's the drink today? We're on Lost Lager. I think I've explained that. Sorry, I'm miles behind. Right, let me see if I can catch up. There's a strange noise from behind me. Ghosts. Some things don't change. Yes, the level of professional, second to none. Am I still streaming? Yep, good. I don't think you picked your nose. But if you did, Callum already has a meme of it. I think England Wales is really lucky for fish availability. One banned snakehead, but all the other China are legal. Oh, I wonder which one is banned. That might be the one I want. I have been talking about a snakehead for Mega Tank, actually. Are these fish, have you seen them yet? Have they been on the camera? They seem to be circling around it as if they know where I'm trying to frame the shot. So happy, Humphrey's happy. Yes, he seems dead happy. I think he likes it because I'm here every day for a long time, and I quite often, in case you can't see the orientation, this is my desk where I would do my normal job, and I can reach out and touch the glass of Mega Tank. And every now and again, if I'm on a conference call, we sat with the cans on, giving it blah 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 blah, and he'll be swimming up and down. I was even thinking, am I training him? Because I thought I could get him to do loops. He almost does it. Well, let's see if I can get him to come down here. Come down here. Down here. This way. Where the camera is. And do a loop. Oh. Nah. So he was almost doing loops, following my fingers and doing loops. So I think he's just enjoying having some company. So I thought, let's give him another fish and see if he can get something out of that rather than just trying to kill it immediately. And because of the gold som having shared the tank for a very small amount of time with him, I thought I'll give it a go. But again, I've been surprised. I thought it might be the kind of thing where at least one of them would just hide for a week and maybe peek out every now and again to see what was going on. But no, they spent all day out and about. I mean, he has shown interest and has been following it around. He hasn't tried to kill it yet, so we'll see how we get on. I think they can keep US red shiners, but that really sucks about the catfish. Did you see what happened in the hotel in Berlin? Oh yes. that made me do two things. That made me go, wow, I should really have not named my fish tank Mega Tank, because that thing is Mega Tank. Yeah, again, I saw this on Discord. I think it was Urban that had posted a link to it, because he is from there. Wow. What was it, like 2 million litres of fish tank, stretching up multiple floors? In fact, let's see if I can find that link. This is not going to work well, is it? Yep, I'm sure. Desktop. Sources. Why won't you show me the desktop? There we go. Large aquarium burst. Material fatigue could be the... Oh, it's been updated since I read it earlier. A large aquarium with 1 million litres of water burst on Friday morning in Berlin. Material fatigue could be the cause. 2 people were injured. Most of the 1,500 fish are dead. The large aquarium Aquarium in Berlin, Mitte, with 1,000 cubic metres of water and 1,500 fish, burst on Friday morning, according to the fire brigade and police. The cause could be material fatigue. A tourist magnet was 19 years old. The tourist magnet was 19 years old. Yeah, I mean, this is something that spanned even... wait a minute. I pressed the button and it didn't work. Wait. This was something that even spanned outside the fish world. I had people at work sending me messages going, oh, did you read about the aquarium in Berlin? The thing is enormous. I cannot imagine. And I've seen videos of tanks that are maybe like 200, 300 litres cracking and bursting. And that's devastating. That's got enough force to push furniture out the way. Imagine 1 million litres. Apparently it burst the front of the building and threw it into the street. And yeah. According to the police, there was initially no evidence of an attack. There's no indications of a criminal offence. It looks like a battlefield, said fire department spokesman James Klein, describing the situation inside the building. The entire atrium and the reception are covered by masses of water and heavy parts of the burst acrylic glass container, so that one cannot move there at all. 2 people were slightly injured by broken glass in the morning, taken to hospital. 1 guest, 1 employee, blah blah blah. The aquarium's located in the inner courtyard of a hotel with a glass elevator running in the middle. I mean, this is... I wish I'd got to see this. This sounds like a mighty impressive thing. The aquarium burst suddenly, said the spokesman for the fire brigade. The water in this aquarium is almost completely leaked out, both in the building and on Karl Liebknechtstrasse. Due to the high water pressure in the aquarium when it burst, it took away a whole lot of objects that are now scattered down the street. A lot of water had run into the nearby gullies. Of the 1,500 fish that were in the aquarium, most are dead. Most fish were distributed with the water in the building onto the street. Okay, obviously. Some surviving fish were found in a bowl of water by the elevator. They were taken to a neighbouring underwater world of sea life in the zoo's aquarium. Several hundred fish that were housed in smaller aquariums in the basement of the building were also moved. They were in danger of dying because the power had gone out. I mean, just imagine. It must have been a veritable tsunami, it says here. It must have been like a tsunami. Just the forces there that is at play. It's mind-boggling. Yeah, and it affected loads of other buildings on the street, and I just had visions of there'd been a video of this happening and some poor guy with an algae scraper like backing away slowly. But yeah, materials fatigue, that's... I mean, you'd think that something like that would have redundancy after redundancy built into it. But yes, wow. So there you go, that's aquarium news for you today. All the fishies died, they did indeed. There you go, join the Discord. If you want to join the chats, you can do that. And you can see things like this. In fact, let me see if I need to bring down all my stuff. I need to bring down the old stream deck and everything. Make sure that I get that right. So this is Discord. So as you will see, Urban, one of our subscribers, put this in this morning to tell me about it. But you can join in with all kinds of chat. So as people have been saying, I've been on about getting some shell dwellers. So somebody gave me a link to some shell dwellers. Thank you, tits. Thank you, tits. That sounds like... Ooh. Thank you, tits. Sorry, tits. But here is the most important part that I wanted to share with you today. It's finally done. And I don't mean that that it's taken forever. It's 100% my fault that it's taken so long to do. I've been very lax and very slow. I'm sorry it's taken this long. I wanted to have this done well in advance of Christmas so people could buy it to get it for Christmas presents. I'm hoping that's going to arrive early next week, and any orders that I get on the calendar I can send them out again. But if you are new here and you do not know about this, for a while I've been asking for your submissions of your fishy pictures. So as you can see on the left hand side here, there's a whole bunch of channels, one called Calendar Pics. So all my subscribers have been submitting their best pictures, and a few weeks back we had a vote on which pictures were going to go in the calendar. So we've made a calendar based off all your submissions. So if you want to see it, the calendar is now available. It is on the website, you can buy it. I don't physically have the calendars here yet, but they're on the way. And as soon as they arrive, I know we've had 2 or 3 orders so far. As soon as they arrive, I'll get them straight back out again. So hopefully you'll get them in time for Christmas, but I can't guarantee that you'll get them in time for Christmas. But the other important thing is that 100% of the profits, so I think, I might be speaking out of turn here, but I think Phil has provided them for free. And so it'll only be posted, whatever it costs to post them out, that's the only cost. Everything else will be given to charity. So what we did last year, I think we went with the Autism or Society was the chosen charity. I just waited until, I mean, they're calendars, they're only going to sell now over Christmas and early into the new year. So whatever we can sell over the next few weeks, probably in late January, we'll have a live stream. We'll set up a GoFundMe for the chosen charity this year, which is Martin House Children's Hospice in Boston Spa. I will donate all the money that we've made from sales of the calendar, and then we'll open it up to the live stream to get anybody else that wants to donate. I mean, you might live in America. I'm not sending you a calendar if you live in America, because that will just cost more money rather than anything else. So you might live in America, you might want to make a donation. Just stay tuned. You will get that chance. You will be able to do that. But if you do want a calendar, it's live on the website now. I will put a link in the description as to... can I do that? I'm sure I can do that. Copy. No, not paste, you idiot. Copy that. Find the chat. So if you want it, technically it's a pre-order because I don't actually have them yet, but go and buy it. There were some great pictures. You all saw them. You were all here. Any fish room would look great with this calendar in it. I don't know of any other way to sell it other than this is put together by a community. We're going to sell it for the community. Yes, it's overpriced for a calendar. I've put it in at £7. It's the kind of thing that you could probably buy for £2 or £3 in the shops, but for the charity angle, for the niche market angle, I thought that was a decent price. You get something that will last for the year. Lots of fishy pictures. You might even have your picture in there if you were one of the winners. So why not? Why not go buy my calendar? I feel like I'm being Heiko Blair. Buy my book. There you go. Sales pitch over. I don't think we're allowed Amia Calva, the bowfins. They're pretty cool. Yeah, true. Well, I don't know if it's true, but they are pretty cool. They're cold water aquatics that usually streams after me. He has a pet bowfin, doesn't he? Sounded like a fish hitting a lid or something. Big cock view there of Humphrey. Humphrey, yeah, I mean, I've seen bigger cocks. But hey, it's not a small cock. Oh, he looks like he's... See, he does this every now and again, but he's like, yeah, I'm going to chase you, but he doesn't ever do anything. So I've seen bigger cocks. It's not a massive cock. That's hard to say. It's not a massive cock, Courtney. But it's a hard worker. Ghost of Mega Tanks past, maybe. Right, I'm miles away. You didn't reply to my swap request on Discord. It didn't deserve a reply, Callum. I can't reach my beer. I'm going to have to go off camera for a minute. Callum suggested I swap some discus for some of his fish, and I thought, ha ha ha. That's what I thought. Ridiculous. What did you all think of my... Well, I'm hoping that you might have seen it. What did you all think of my discus tank setup? I'm particularly proud of that one. I think the discus are looking fantastic at the moment. I think the tank's looking fantastic. I'm really happy with it. But yeah, I'm not giving away discus. Don't be ridiculous. A fish training kit. Well, I might be reading more into this. It might be anthropomorphizing this. But I'm pretty sure me and Humphrey have got some kind of connection going on. And I was getting him to do barrel rolls. And I'm going to work on that for a few more weeks. Just you wait, the thumbnails for that one's going to be great. I taught my fish how to do tricks. Humphrey's big dumb face like that. Megatank took almost as long to perfect as my whiskey. Hey, this is only a year in the making, Megatank. My Oscar would come to the surface and bark at me when I came home from work. But he does like to greet me, and I was starting to find it slightly worrying. And every now and again he'll swim around, he'll be doing his thing, and he'll remember I'm here. Well, again, anthropomorphizing this. It feels like he remembers I'm here, and then does a big loop and swing and double back and comes over to say hello and just smashes into the glass. How bouncy are cocks? Oh, that's going to get memed. That's not what I mean. How bouncy are nuchal humps? Because he goes for it as if he's like, yeah, I'm going to come through. I wonder if I need to make him a wee helmet or something. Sandy's in. Another discus lover. And Bunny Viper, sorry I missed you if you had been in it earlier. And now she's gone. So big it had a lift going through the middle. It did indeed, yes. Marine, yes it was a marine tank, and oh god, it must have been horrible. And the smell from anything when it starts to rot. Just salt water in general, every time when I had my saltwater tank, it was just like, it was almost like acid. Anything that got wet just began to decay immediately. And I know it's just like salt water creep and things like that were to be expected, but yeah, everything just one of the, I didn't like how salt water made me feel when I had to do things. The person who built it said a bullet shot wouldn't smash it into bits, just put a hole through the glass. Well, if it had 1,000,000 litres, it must have been bulletproof plus. The amount of force that would have been putting on that acrylic. I remember the show, remember Tanked? I mean, for all its failings and faults, they did build some big fish tanks. I remember they'd said, one of the episodes was around, oh well, we always say that our tanks are bulletproof because the acrylic's so thick, so we're going to test it, and they did. They took it out and like shot AK-47s and stuff at it, and yeah, it didn't skip a beat. So I'm imagining it's got to be something like some kind of metal fatigue on the stand or something, making it buckle and making it do something like that. Has anyone got an alibi for Christopher Nolan? He made a CGI-free nuclear explosion. This must have been a CGI-free tsunami. Yeah, maybe. My guess on the giant tank failure is much akin to others. Tanks don't break generally. If you look at the design, it's a 45 metre tall cylinder on a pillar of sorts. I bet that something shifted, yeah, and caused it to buckle. It's got to be something like that. Rather than it being the tank itself, it's got to be like metal fatigue in one of the legs of the stand, if it was a stand, or some kind of geometric shift. Whoops. Add an HTTPS at the beginning. Yes, you're quite right. Why did it not add an HTTPS? I shall try that again. There we go. I need a new calendar for my desk at work. Well, there you go. Perfect. I mean, it's not a desk calendar, it's a wall calendar, but I'm sure you can adapt. I will have my own mega tank someday. Well, there you go. You can now watch my videos of all the reasons to get one and all the things to avoid while doing it. Look at that. The little fish is chasing the big fish now. Yeah, I must admit, I'm so happy the Mega Tank has been running. I think we're like in week 3 now, without any issues. See that, a wee bit of chasing there. The one mistake I made was not deciding what I wanted to keep in Mega Tank before I built it. And I think that was the wrong approach. I went with right, I've got a space here that's this size, I'm going to build a tank that's this size, and then, right, what should I put in it? I should have really focused down on what I wanted, because I'm so conflicted as to what to stock in there. I think it'd be cool if I had a lot of big, I mean, if Humphrey will tolerate other fish, if I can get a bunch of Oscars, other big South American cichlids and things like that, and it's a bit like a big community, I'd be pretty happy with that. I'm interested in keeping rays. I'm not interested in shelling out 600 quid to get a couple of them. It just seems like a big jump. I mean, I know a lot of people might class me as an experienced fish keeper, but I've never kept rays. I don't know the first thing about rays other than they're very, very expensive and they need a big footprint. But a lot of them seem to be quite unforgiving. Yeah, I just. While I think it would be cool, I'm worried about it because I don't know enough about them yet. A lot of the other big fish that I seem to be getting offered just fugly. I'm not into them at all. So Callum, thank you for posting or sorting me that link to the rehoming. Was it rehoming Northwest or something like that? But that's another one that annoys me. It's clearly people trying to sell their fish, but rehoming to me suggests free. Like, oh, my tank's not big enough, I need to rehome this fish. Okay, I'll take it. That'd be £600, please. No, that's selling me your fish. That's not rehoming. And I get it's because Facebook doesn't allow the sale of fish, so people have to be creative of how they want to sell fish. And I'm not against buying fish. It just annoys me slightly that it's called a rehoming group and it's clearly not rehoming. But one of the posts, so the post that you tagged me on, I reached out to that guy and said, oh, yeah, what have you got? How much do you want? In fact, let's find it, shall we? Because I'm not going to buy them, so. Let me see, am I still sharing? I am. Is that bad to share? Oh, I don't know. Wonder if I can mask the names. So a Chana Maru, 18 inches, 70 quid. 13-inch marble ray, 225 quid. A pair of baby rays, albino and het, 650. A yellowtail barracuda 8-inch, 50 quid. A wolffish 9 to 10-inch, 50 quid. And all of them are a bit like. So let me see if I can share this. Can I share that? Why won't you let me share that? I love snakeheads. That is not my cup of tea though. It's a big old snakehead, so I guess that would be what we would class as one of the giants, but I don't know why, it just doesn't do anything for me. Oh, I don't know. And then so this is the wolffish. That one, that's the wolffish. Again, cool, but meh. And I guess there's some of the rays. The rays are cool as hell. I'll give them that. The rays are cool as all hell. But a lot of the problems that I'm seeing with things like this is I'm just buying someone else's tank at this point. I'm not doing my own thing. I'm just, oh, right, so I'll take all your fish then. I kind of want to do my own thing, and it's hard. So what I want to do is build my perfect tank of my perfect fish, and while rays might be in there, I'll admit it, I'm scared to get rays because they're so expensive to then buy everything else that I want. So if I want to have Oscars, if I want to have all the South American cichlids and things like that, and then I spend £1,000 on rays and they kill them, I will be gutted. I don't know if I'll come back from that one. But they had some clown loaches as well. I thought they were pretty cool. So a fish shop as well in York has reached out to me about some silver dollars that look quite good. So I might get some of them. Might try some rays and build on it from there and see how we get on. But yeah, I've got buyer's remorse before I've even bought anything. Right, let's see how far we got. I'm always miles behind him so far. Kaylee ordered, thank you very much. As Lee with a pack of food, thank you very much. So should I get you a can of the AA? Oh yeah, whoa. Oh, sorry, we have to spend time on this. I've never been so offended. I have to find it. So, as every good... oops. As every good fish community needs is a channel for beer suggestions. So, Tits McGee, who is Fish Vet, who I view you as my beer mentor, so you've introduced me to so many beers and you've been right 99% of the time about the ones that I like. So you seem to have zoned in on what works for me, and I appreciate that. But he writes in this post in the beer suggestions channel, I feel like I might get told off for this, but in the line of beers that included the Paw Patrol beer, which was one of these ones, I can't. Anyway, also included an Imperial Stout that I came to know as Aquarium Adventures Impy. Judge for yourselves. Really? I mean, alright, it's fair, but still. How rude. So that was my response. So, yes, join Discord. You can all take the piss out of me all day long. All week long, in fact. Let's see. We've got the memes channel down here. So, for instance, Callum likes to edit screenshots of my videos and putting in the King of DIY as my backdrop. I thought this one was good.
Another tank.
Oh, can I make it bigger?
No idea how I'm going to catch them.
I've got a light that when I turn it on, it flickers for the first few minutes. As can be seen. And then
I wanted to just experience it myself, so when someone asks me, I can talk from a place of experience rather than just, well, I've heard, but it's fine most of the time.
if you can't see that, that's basically what everyone did. So I had in my last video saying, oh, I've added angels because I've got angels and no one likes, or the internet always, it's a very popular question is, can I keep angels with discus? And the answer is, of course, yes you can, but it might go wrong, I guess is the longer answer. And I've always been asked, but I've never actually kept angels and discus together in the same tank. And I've always said it can work, but sometimes it can go a bit wrong. So I wanted to put the angels in with the discus so as I could say, right, I've kept them with discus for a couple of years now, it's been absolutely fine. Or it went terribly wrong, never do it again. From first-hand experience. And so Callum there had said, me saying that and then going straight onto the post, yeah, you can't do that. Everybody did that. Oh, it might work, but it'll eventually fail. When they get older, it's going to be carnage. As soon as they start breeding, it's going to be carnage. I'm like, I know all this. But yeah, thank you for your comments. Anyway, so what's this new one? 50. Oh, I shouldn't laugh at that. Because this is what everyone's saying about Megatank as well. All my naysayers and detractors. Again, if you're new here, I've built Megatank unconventionally. I haven't done it with fiberglass and pond shield. I've done it with liquid rubber and only liquid rubber. And everyone, well, not everyone, but what to me seems like a huge majority of people saying, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would you do that? That's going to end in tears. So, I mean, for the best part of a year, they were right, because I continually had problems with it. But yeah, come back in a year, we'll see. I'm either going to be the smuggest man alive, or, yeah, okay, well, you were right, but I just wanted to prove it one way or the other. So, here, breaking news, 15 archers dead after Berlin hotel repairs aquarium with liquid rubber. Yeah, you got me. I like it. So, should I get you a can of the AA Impy? Yes, by all means. Why not? I'd love a can of AA Impy. Courtney's just typed in there, Callum thinks he's hilarious for these memes. I mean, there's a very niche market here of people making fun of me that I think is funny. You've nailed that. I wouldn't go on tour with it, because it's only me that thinks it's funny. Right. Comments, that's what I was trying to do. I'm trying to catch up with the comments. Most fish aren't as thick as we think they are. I do think human interaction might not be the best sign, though. Discus, though, I think are smarter than they look. Yeah, I think discus are more aloof. No, that's not more aloof than they look. They look as if they're very aloof. I guess it's really hard to quantify, isn't it? How do you measure smartness in an animal? I mean, there've been loads of studies done on this type of thing, and I am guilty of kind of. I keep saying Anthony. He's just whacked into that bit of wood like an idiot. He's not smarter than he looks. He's exactly as stupid as he looks. But obviously, I am guilty of reading more into what's going on. But it genuinely looks like he's happy to see me when I come into the fish room. And he seems to spend, when I'm sat at my desk, he seems to spend a lot of his time up. I mean, today, introducing the new fish has been a bit like, oh, well, I've got new stuff going on here, this is great. Like right there where he's like, I'm going to eat that GoPro through this glass. He spends a lot of his time right here looking at me, checking out what I'm doing and doing tricks. But I guess some fish just show things in different ways. Like you say, the new discus are smarter than they look. Discus, I think, are clever. Mine, but have I had that tank running a week yet? Not even a week yet. And they've already realised that it's got sliders on the tank. And they've never lived in that tank that they were temporarily in did have sliders, but I never really shut them properly. So they've never lived in a tank with sliders properly. But as soon as I go up there and move the sliders, they all rush to one side. I'll try and film this because it fascinated me. I thought that must have been a fluke. That can't be true, but it's happened every time I've tried to feed them. Whatever side I go to, I open the slider. All the discus rush over to that side. Not all. They leave a couple of stragglers, but they kind of encircle and keep out the congos. So I had a question from somebody saying, "Oh, how do you find keeping Congo tetras with discus? Because the Congos are such voracious eaters, and they are. But the discus will like kind of form a wall, and as the pellets are falling through the water, they fall through with it. And the Congos are like, "Oh, could I just excuse?" And the discus are like, "Yeah, get out of it, beat it, get back." And it was fascinating, and they do it almost every time I feed them. So yeah, you're right. I think they are a lot quicker than you might give them credit for. Another new meme, but oh, that's Cal's meme, so I'm quite far behind. Mickey's ordered a calendar as well. 6K Aquatics getting a breeding pair of red turquoise discus tomorrow. Any advice for breeding sussies? Discuses? Breeding success? Success? Patience would be my one. I have bred discus before. I'm not entirely sure that I contributed much to the whole affair, but I had 2 or 3 pairs on the go at one point, and they were going quite well. Things like triggering them to spawn was very much. You can do cold water changes to bring the temperature down a little bit. That's meant to stimulate them into thinking it's the right season to breed. Yeah, that seemed to work. Things like barometric pressure, if it was like a thundery day, that would always trigger them into spawning. But it was really a case of having an established pair. So I think I bought one established pair, and that had the worst luck with them. But I had 2 pairs form while I had fish. Pardon me, and they were the strongest born. But even then, it still took 10, 15 attempts for them to get from the point of pairing up, laying eggs, fertilising eggs, having the eggs hatch, having the eggs go to free swimming, having the eggs latch onto the parents, having the fry grow up and last past the 3-week mark. All these things took multiple attempts before the fish got it right. So we're talking from them first pairing up to getting a successful batch of fry, a year, 18 months, 2 years, if not more. So unless you go and buy a ready-made pair, there's a lot of time and there's a lot of effort, because you're having to keep the tank meticulously clean, spotless. You're having to keep the water parameters bang on. A lot of people will advise things like going RO, using RO water and remineralising to specific requirements. I didn't do that. I used RO, a 50-50 mix of RO and HMA water, just to bring the TDS down to a low enough value. But that's more about yield than it is about getting them to spawn. Once you've got them spawning, that's half the battle. Then it's keeping the pair going and keeping them strong. So a decent sized tank, for a pair, I like to go with a kind of 18-inch cube is the usual suggested answer. But as big a tank as you can give them, because they're going to be in there for a couple of years if you want to get them to spawn, unless they get it right first time, which is highly unlikely. They're going to be in there for a couple of years, so you want a decent sized tank for them to get on and do that. But even buying proven pairs, sometimes the trauma of getting them, so shipping them or moving them from where you buy them from to your house, that breaks the bond in the pair, and they're like, nah, don't like you anymore, don't want it. And we've had lots of stories that confirm that. But tips is, put aside a lot of time, because you're going to be doing a lot of cleaning, and then if you want to be successful, you're doing a lot of feeding, because when the fry, if you don't know, when discus have fry, they feed off the slime coat of the parents, and at some point that gets too much, and the parents are like, oh, for God's sake, I've had enough of this. Ow, get off. Then you have to take over as that. But they have such small bellies that you have to feed them multiple times a day. And the most success I had was with a batch of fry that would accept decapsulated brine shrimp eggs, because if you're not doing that, you're hatching multiple batches of brine shrimp every day and feeding small amounts every day, trying to get them to go for it. But if you can get them onto the decap, that's a little bit easier. You still have to feed them multiple times a day, but it's literally pinch rather than doing all the faff about trying to hatch brine shrimp. But yeah, it's a very rewarding excitement. It's one of the coolest sights. It's the reason I really like discus. I had never seen that before. The way you have the mum and the parents, with the swarm of fry around them, and just how protective they are and things like that. It's a great thing to experience. But yeah, it can be a lot of work. Evan Hunter, Mr. Few, happy to be here today, officially on holidays. I've got another week to go before I'm officially on holidays. But yeah, everyone else is on holiday. Why do I have to do anything? I'm no engineer, but wouldn't... That sounds great already. But wouldn't a column aquarium of that size be open to greater spectacular fatigue failure compared to your usual rhombus-shaped aquarium? I don't know. Because I also am no engineer. 6 square aquatic time. There you go. I've been agreed with. There's no rush. Discus take their time. They also like practice. Yes, multiple attempts. And that's what I was trying to say about each of those stages. They might lay eggs 10 times before they lay eggs and the eggs get fertilised. They might then lay eggs and fertilise them 10 times before they let them get to wrigglers. They might do that 10 times before they let them get to be free swimmers. And yeah, so you're talking a long time. Right, let's see if we can catch up a little bit. I was the same, but actually I recommend mini marbles, etc. 14-inch discs, tops, but generally well bred and not overly expensive. Oh, are we talking about... right. I need to keep up. Right, New Year's resolution. I'm going to keep on top of the chat and try not to go off on tangents. Mini marbles. I've talked to people in the past who've said, well, I've got a stingray, but it's a hybrid. I'm like, that. Fine. I'm not a purist. I'm not being snobby about these things. I'm more about enjoying the fish rather than... I'm not trying to show fish. I'm trying to enjoy fish. So the fact that it's not a purebred something, it's like dogs. Hey, I'm happy with a mutt. If I've got a dog, it's a happy dog. That's what I want. I've seen lots of people have a rehoming fee until you convince them you're going to be a loving home and the money would be better used on care items or vet. But I have no problem paying for fish or buying fish. It's just the whole... And I realise it's Facebook's problem, the whole fact that you can't sell fish now, so I just don't like the whole masquerading thing of, oh no, it's rehoming. Yeah, I want 650 quid. That's not rehoming, and it's not a rehoming fee. And sometimes I'm happy to pay for these things, but it's just... I don't like the sneakiness, if that makes sense. But I guess there's no way around it because Facebook just shuts down all these groups if they don't abide by the rules of no selling live fish. I do like stingrays with space, and then they're actually meant to be really intelligent, so providing that much enrichment. Yeah, well, got the space. Got 8 foot by 4 foot. I almost said floor plan. That's not the word I was going for. Footprint. So there should be plenty of space for stingrays. Enrichment, I'd need to look into that and see what kind of thing they really like to. Oscars and aquatic turtles seem to be abandoned, rehomed frequently in my area. Yeah, I mean, a turtle would be cool, but again, I don't know anything about turtles. I want so I joined this group that Callum sent me a link to and just made a post of, right, before I go out and start buying fish to populate what I want, is there anybody out there who's got a big fish that they can't look after anymore? Because I might be able to help you with that, because I've got a big ass tank. And then I was inundated with, oh, I've got a big fish that'll sell you for thousands of pounds. That's not really where I was going with that. Humphrey is now taking a bit more of an interest in this fish, so maybe I should feed him. What do you think? Should we do a feeding? Usually they ask $80, but you show them your setup and conviction, they typically budge or will sell you their old tanks for a lower price. It weeds out the wind. Yeah, because there must be a lot of people that will just be like, I'm going to buy a fish because it's only a fish. You got a red-tailed cat? Yeah, that'll fit in my 3-foot aquarium, no problem. Yeah, I'll have it. I put a post out for larger fish. Someone messaged me trying to sell a platy and 2 tiger barbs. Right, I've got a couple of prawns defrosting. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. So, how do I do this? I'm going to come back to this ugly mug for a minute while I move the GoPro and set it up for feeding. And then immediately move out of shot. Brilliant, well done, Graham. So there's a slightly wider view, but as you can see, reflections up the wazoo. But we'll see if we can get a little bit of feeding action for Humphrey. Come on, over here. They both got a bit there, so that's quite good. Adoption fees, I think, are only worth it for those who rescue and have costs, but those fees rarely even touch the costs. I've rescued pigs. The vet's bill cost enough, particularly when two had mange. So far behind. Right, I'm going to race through a little bit. This is my problem, Lee. So Lee says, my biggest problem with my perfect tank is that my perfect tank changes every time I think about what might be in it. Yeah. And I think that's my biggest problem at the moment is I want too much. And I want things that require. So I've made one decision. I don't want to just have a lot of something I could have had in a smaller tank. So as much as I like the idea of having 10,000 Romino's Tetras or 1,500 Tiger Barbs or whatever, that would be cool as hell, but I might have other plans for something along those lines in the future. So I want to make use of the footprint that I've got, the size that I've got. So I want the big ass fish. But then I'm like, right, okay, well, I'd like to keep Oscars, yes. Oh, arowana, oh yeah, that'd be good. Stingrays, yeah, okay then. Oh well, what about bass? They're pretty cool. Yeah, I'd like to keep some of them. Oh well, silver dollars, they're all. Yeah, I like them. A big school of silver dollars, that's the case. And then already I'm like, oh right, now I've got 15 different fish that aren't compatible with each other, and I've just done the same thing that is the problem with all things, but on a much larger scale. Uh, silver dollars are generally stores will never get rid of the adults. When I worked for a company, I swear we had 20 plus some fancy fish for longer than I worked there. Yeah. How much did they want for the silver dollars? I think the one on Facebook was they'd sold the silver dollar. The silver dollars weren't included. It was the company in York, I want to say it is. The ones who do the fancy plecos. They had offered me a bunch of silver dollars. Sellers on marketplace and things are pretending $400 for a puppy is a rehoming fee, and it's just, it is, and that's the bit that annoys me. It's perfectly reasonable to want to sell something, but it's when you're trying to, it just makes me feel dirty when you're skirting round the outskirts of the rules. A large group of Geophagus altifrons, that would be stunning. Yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of geos, but you're right, that would be stunning. Like a big school of Severums was my other. I thought that would look pretty cool if I had a big school of Severums and some of the other bigger fish. But I'm getting into that whole thing of just because I've got a big tank, I now want to put 500 fish in it rather than having a large tank and want to put 50 fish in it. It's just as problematic. I sure hope folks don't think all Canadians are like Joey, the king of DIY. I mean, why not? He's a lovely chap. I won't have a bad word said against him. Rebecca says, we judge you all. Good and bad. Yeah, quite right. There's good and bad in every country, no doubt. Everyone knows Canadians are about the nicest people ever, buddies. Our discus like a pod of dolphins hunting a ball of fish. That is what it reminded me of. You're quite right. Many a slip twixt cups and lip. You're quite right, Fly. Craig's Catfish Cave, hello. See, I was under that impression as well, that all my discus have always been grazers. This whole thing of, well, feed them as much as they can eat in 5 minutes. I've always said, no, that's nonsense. Mine take hours. They just graze, they go about it slowly. But ever since I've kept them with Congo tetras, and these are the same fish, these aren't a different batch of discus, they've become much more vigorous eaters. And rather than it being a problem where I've noticed lots of people say, oh, don't get busy fish because they will outcompete your discus for food. So rather than being outcompeted, they seem to be upping their strategy. And it might not be like group behaviour, but it does feel that is what it reminded me of, was like when dolphins mess about and put fish into tighter and tighter balls so they can hunt them easier. So I have no scientific experience to back that up. And it's I've got a week's worth of evidence of this happening, so it's not like it's been going on a long time. So I certainly know some species of fish, so like Rebecca's saying here, electric eels, etc., do coordinated hunting, and I would not have put discus in that group. And I'm not saying they are in this group because of this, but that, to my eye, that's what it looked like, what they were doing. Dad, I'm confused. I don't know whether to look at Humphrey or you. Ah, he's got the bigger head. Just. Question, I lost a koi this week to choking on a part of a plastic plant. I've been keeping them together for 20 years and this is the first time it happened. Would you keep the plants or remove it? I mean, if you've made it 20 years and it's only happened once, that's quite a good return. I don't know. You'd have to have a look at the situation and see whether or not it was... Only you can decide that, I think. I'd probably think, oh, that's a good run. Unless it's something like, well, the fish have now, over 20 years, grown to a size where they can fit this thing in their mouth, and that's why they're trying to eat it. So yes, in that case, get rid of it. If it's just every now and again, every 20 years, it should be okay. For what it's worth, mini marbles aren't considered hybrids, but there are some stunning subspecies. Richard Wharf breeds Venezuelan subspecies. Scott's just ordered the calendar for my office. I guess anyone else who has an office, or even if you just have a plain old office, you can turn it into an office with the calendar. They look starving, the poor things. You really need to... Yeah, and that's... I've made a rod for my own back with this one. I really need to keep Humphrey in Mega Tank. He definitely looks happy with the extra space. He definitely does. I mean, I don't know how you can classify the fish as happy, but he makes use of this space. He flies up and down, he does his thing, he seems to be happy as much as I can tell. But I'd be upset if I'd built this tank just for him when I could have just bought a slightly bigger tank. So I'm hoping he's going to tolerate some tank mates and that we can keep him in there. And knows how to grab and run with food. Well, when you've got Godzilla bearing down on you, you have to learn quick, don't you? I'm going to ring fish line that tank. It's way too small for that flower horn. I really liked your idea last week of just getting a bit of fish and sticking it in there just to see. Is it big enough? Tank too small? QC Aquaholic, hey y'all. Oh, I feel dirty when I say that. Hello. Does the flower horn get along with his tank mates? Well, the flower horn has only been introduced to his tank mates a mere 12 hours ago. I did it this morning. And yes, so far so good. They've shown some interest. So if you just joined me, pardon me, we moved Humphrey, who's my flower horn, into the mega tank last week on live stream. And then this morning I moved the gold som in there just to see how they would do. So I've put a few decorations in there, created a few hiding spots, somewhere it can get away if it needs to. And while he has shown some interest and he's been following it around a bit, he hasn't done any damage. And normally, if he's going to do something, he does it straight away. But we'll see. We'll see how he gets on. But this tank behind me here, I've now got the goldfish in there, giving them a little bit more space because this tank's almost twice the size of the one that's next to it, so they can overwinter in here. I've almost got no fish left in the fish room. Got pea puffers in that tank, so I've got empty tank, pea puffers, empty tank, empty tank, empty tank. No, that's not empty. That's got the baby black ghost knife fish, who I'm a bit worried about because I never see I've only got 2 things in there, and it hides in one of them. I'm not noticing a whole lot of food going either, so I'm a little bit worried about that one. Empty tank, goldfish. Empty tank, empty tank, empty tank, empty tank, empty tank. Empty tank. Full tank, that's the rainbows and the Corydorus. And then I've got some shrimp tanks, which I can't quite turn the camera around properly to see. Some shrimp tanks, some Endler tanks over in this bank, which is about half stocked, shall we say. So I've got all this. Needing more fish. Pardon me. How long does it take to do a water change in Mega Tank, or is it a trickle fed all the time? That is my next video. Everything. Maintenance of Mega Tank. Everything's a challenge. I can't use like a fish net to try and catch a fish. So I'm I've left it outside. I'm repurposing my fishing net, so it's like a landing net for actual fishing with a rod and reel. So I've got the landing net, so that I had that on standby earlier today in case this didn't work out, so I could get one of them out. I've got a massive, so this is my water change hose for all my other tanks. So what I do is I stick this end goes in the tank, and then I suck on the other end and do a water change. Doesn't even get halfway down on Mega Tank, so I've had to buy like a 3-foot version of this. So I have to make that. Water changes. Trickle will be the answer, so I'm going to go with trickle, but I need to get away. I need to redesign the sump basically, because I want to have. I've just got a plastic tote acting as the sump at the moment, but I'm going to build another plywood sump and have an overflow which I can go into another sump, which then pumps it into the sump and out when it gets to a certain stage. Because if you want to do, if I was to do a 25% water change on this and refill it with my little tiny hose like this, it would take forever. So I had one of the pipe covers slipped off and it spewed out a couple of 100 litres. It took hours to fill it again, because the only high pressure or high volume is just the cold water hose. So I can't do that because I don't want to lose the temperature. Keeping the temperature up is another of the biggest challenges, but yeah, everything's a bit of a challenge, so I'm working out a lot of it as I go. So that might be one of, if not the next video, the next one after that, about maintenance on Mega Tank and how much of a challenge that is. Just putting all these things, so these stones and these bits of oh, pardon me, the bits of wood and the rocks specifically, I've got like a long grabber. I do, I promise. Don't know where it is, but like, you know, like one of these. Where is it? Like this thing. So I've got that for like getting like little things in and out, but for rocks, I basically had to strip off today and get halfway in, so as I wasn't just chucking big massive rocks at the bottom of the tank. Yeah, it's a little bit more intense than it needs to be. Pardon me. Dan's ordered the calendar, so if you've just joined us or you're joining us late, we're pushing the calendar today. We want to get the calendar sales up because it's all going to charity. These are the pictures you guys submitted, so you may well find your own picture in there. Get yourself a calendar and be reminded of my wonderful channel all year long. I've seen them eat the plants countless times in the past with no issues, but pulling it out got me thinking. In the end, I did just remove the floaters. Well, if you can see that greenery on the right hand side, when I put that in, again, I was just putting it in to create an area that a fish could hide in to get away from Humphrey if they wanted to. I really don't like fake plants, but it's means to an end. As soon as I put them in there, Humphrey went over and just bit them constantly, like, nom, 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 it's just food, nom, 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 nom. And then he decided it wasn't food and he was fine, and he's not touched them again. You have too many empty tanks. You're right, it is a problem. I mean, the reason is, since I've moved into this house, I've been waiting so long to get my big discus display tank sorted. Now that is a big tank. It's like 5 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot or whatever it is. It's a little bit bigger than that, but none of these tanks are as big, so I had to split up all those. While that tank wasn't up and running, I had to split up all its inhabitants across multiple tanks. So I couldn't get more fish because the tanks were full. But now I've moved all those fish, all the tanks are empty, so now I can go on a spending spree. But like an idiot, I made a mega tank which has eaten up all my money and I have no money left. And energy bills and cost of living and all those kind of things. So we'll slowly build things back up again, I'm sure. I'm interested in trying out a few new species that I've never kept before, so we might do that kind of thing. But I'm just happy to have Mega Tank up and running. But yeah, it will annoy me. It will annoy me soon that I've got too many empty tanks. All these empty tanks must mean more fish incoming. Maybe, Martin. My small tank heater in the kitchen struggling to keep up with this cold weather. -8 in Essex at the moment. Oh! Weekend looking warmer though. Yeah, I think the -7 was the coldest it got around here. Are pea puffers hard to keep? No. Hard to keep long term? Maybe. Sorry. Back in a second. The hardest thing I get is getting them to eat something. So they will eat bloodworms happily all day, every day. But the trouble is, bloodworms aren't all that good for them. There's a really good guide that's been published. I mean, I can't remember what it is, but it's like pea puffer owners worldwide on Facebook, and they've got a really good care guide in there. And I'm paraphrasing this, so don't take this as gospel, but go and look it up on your own. Bloodworms should be no more than 20% of their diet, or you'll run into long-term problems. But getting them to eat anything else, it's anything that's a bit of a finicky eater is always going to be a little bit more challenging in my experience, because if your fish will only eat live foods, then you have to go and get live foods all the time, or create your own cultures of live foods. If it'll only eat frozen foods, then you have to spend time defrosting said frozen foods and then feeding it. If you can get a fish to eat a dry food, a pellet or something like that, then it's just done, easy. So they're a little bit too small to be able to. So snails are a little bit tricky in my experience, because you have to catch the snails when they're small enough that the pea puffers will take them out. With larger snails, they can't get at the whole snail, so you end up with rotting snails, which degrades your water quality, and then you have a tank crash. Live foods are good, but again, you have to go and buy live foods. Brine shrimp, it's a bit of a pain to culture brine shrimp. So it's nothing compared to some of the really finicky species and the really extreme lengths of caregiving that some people go to with some types of fish. But they're really cute. They're pretty cool little fish. But they're just that one step harder than dead easy, if that makes sense. I hope. Oh yes, so as Rebecca's saying, keep chilled music. No, but providing a variety of food can be. Yes, because you end up being lazy and just feeding them bloodworms, and then that's not really good for them. Do you have any regrets about Megatank? If you could go back to this time next year, would you still do it? Last year. Do I have any regrets? I probably do. I'm going to say no because I don't think if I hadn't done it then I would never have done it. I wouldn't do it now. If I was planning it now, it would just be a no-brainer. I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. The amount that fuel bills have gone up recently, the cost of living going up, in the time since I started Megatank's build, I would have no second thoughts at all of doing Megatank. It wouldn't happen. I do sometimes wish I had thought about it the other way around and decided, right, I want to have a discus pond or I want to have a predator pond, and then built it rather than saying I want a tank that's big and then going, oh, what am I going to put in it? That was a bit silly. Only because from that point of view there were so many things and I kept changing my mind, and I don't like being indecisive. I like to just go, I'm doing this now, done. I'm never going to do it again, so I want to get it right. So I might be putting pressure on myself from that point of view. I have plans to extend the fish room into the other, well, Courtney and Callum will know this, having been here, into the other side of the garage, and making that my office, but maybe having another 8-10 foot tank that's not 4 feet wide, it might only be 1 or 2 feet wide, but another long tank, and maybe doing something with that. But no, I don't have any regrets. I wanted to try it. I wanted to give it a bash and see what it was like to have a monster tank. And I feel like I'm right at the beginning of the adventure of trying this. I mean, if it goes wrong, I will be gutted. It's cost me a lot of money to get to this point, and it's not, by some people's standards, I guess it's not a lot of money, but I am a tight-fisted git. I did make a video calculating all the money that I've spent on this, but if I count time as well, the amount of time that I've spent on this, when I could be doing other things, I could be spending time with my kids, my family, I could be working, earning more money, I could be, just a bit of a time vacuum. That's maybe one of the things I regret, spending so much time on it. But I'm hoping that I'm going to get 10 years out of this though, and that it'll be worth it from that point of view. So in the main, no, I don't have any regrets, because if I didn't do it I wouldn't ever do it. So I'm just glad that I've given it a bash at least. If we get 3 weeks down the road and I'm making videos like Humphrey died, all my fish died, Megatank poisoned something, then yes, we'll have regrets. But if it works and continues to work, I'm going to err on the side of no regrets. I can see a tiny hose maybe. Oh no, God. Tiny hose. Uh-oh. But, oh dear. Don't want to look at that again. Pardon me. Split your endlers, they'll start filling the fat. Yeah, you're quite right, actually. You see, I'm kind of watching, and part of me wants to help, but I'm also enjoying the discovery. For example, substrate cleaning and water changes are different things with big tanks. I would love to help. Exactly. That's why I have my... This would be my substrate cleaner for all my other tanks, but I'm now going to get a version of this that has something that's 3 times the size, so as I can reach into all the corners. And now that I've created nooks and crannies by putting all these things in there, it's going to be even worse because I'll be collecting detritus. Yeah, happy to take advice. I must say that. I'm happy to take advice, but I get where you're coming from there because I'm quite enjoying the idea of going, oh, I need to clean that sand bed, but I can't reach that sand bed. It was like today, I did this, put these stones in, I'm like, well, I've got this big rock, how am I going to get it to the... I can't just drop it, it might smash the wood. It wouldn't have smashed the wood, but that's where my brain was going. I had to, like, get in, so I had to strip off and get in, put the rocks in. Pufferfish Enthusiasts Worldwide, that's the group. Macaulay might have had a specific group for pea puffers. Well, there was a specific... I think there was a specific pea puffers group, but I think that's the same family, if you like, so that's where to find that care sheet. I think we all live in hope the cost of living will go down. Yeah, I mean, these things always go up. They're not quite as quick to come back down again. You just get used to them. Personally, when I have space, there's value in waiting for the right inspiration. You're quite right. And that's, if there is a regret, that is it. That I just thought, well, I've got this big space, let's build as big as I can fit into this space. Because it was between this and putting another rack in the middle and another rack at the end and just having lots of tanks. But I thought, no, I'm never going to get a chance again to build a tank that I can have some big fish in, which is why I ended up deciding not to put in lots of little fish. Because if I built another big tank over there, I could put in lots of little fish and that would still look pretty cool. The footprint of this is the impressive thing, so that's the thing I want to make use of. Just got 3 new quarries. They spend all day swimming in the middle of the tank. Is this normal? Middle as in bottom, middle, top, or middle as in front, middle, back? Well, it depends on the quarries, I guess, but it would be unusual if they spent a lot of the time in the middle, because quarries are essentially bottom dwellers. How long? How? Just got 3 new quarries. So if you just got them today, that might just be them finding their feet in the tank. Generally, they like to have more than 3, so they might be a little bit stressed. So you might want to get a few more. I don't know. I keep saying these things, but I have to stress I am not a fish expert. I'm a fish enthusiast. So I don't always know the answer. I'll try and give answers, but they're opinions rather than proper answers. There you go, our resident freshwater ichthyologist, that's who gives you actual answers. Yes and no, they could be stressed from being in a new... They could be, yeah, that might be a new thing. Have I got to the bottom? Yay! Just have a cheer. Right, sorry, bear with me a second while I click this button. Cheers. We have sold 7 calendars. Live on stream. Now there's at least 12 of you that submitted pictures, if not 15, so I think at least you lot should buy one. For those who are new, why is that not doing? Obey my will, computer. Why are you not doing things? Don't you know I work in IT? For those who have just joined us, we're pushing hard on the calendar sales tonight. I'll give you the whole... I'll give you the hard sell now. Please subscribe to my channel. No. Subscribe to the channel. You can join the channel down below if you want. That always helps. You can donate through super chats, all that great stuff. Oh, there was a thing I was meant to do tonight. Gifting memberships I got an email about I can now gift memberships, and I forgot to read the email, so I don't know how to do it, so apologies. Next time I might gift some memberships. But what I really wanted to push was the sales of the calendar. So if you go on my website, aquariumadventures.co.uk, under the merch section of the shop, you can see the calendar, which is all my subscriber submitted photos that we picked over the last few weeks, all put into calendar format, kindly provided by Phil at Elite Logos, and we're going to donate every penny of the profits to charity. So I'm trying to push it as hard as possible. I mean, if you want to buy a hoodie or a t-shirt or some fish food or any of those things, that will be greatly appreciated as well. But I want to push, because you only buy calendars now, but I'm not going to push a calendar in July, so I want to try and shift them all now, get as much as we can for this charity, and we'll make the donation early in the new year. So we'll probably have a few more weeks of this. We'll have a live stream where we'll set up a GoFundMe. That will seem to work quite well. Make the donation of all the profits for the calendar, and at the end of the day, everyone gets a nice reminder of some fishy pictures every month. It's good stuff. Last year's calendar worked really well. I was about to point to it, but I realised I've no longer got it up there. Where would I put that? Who knows? In terms of what's going on for the channel next, so as I alluded to earlier, Mega Tank videos might be a few more of them, both in terms of new inhabitants and new problems that I'm realising and finding for the first time. I've got this tank over here. Pardon me. That was the one that was having the slight leak. I've emptied it and done nothing with it for a week, so we'll get around to that at some point as well. I've got lots of other bits and bobs to be set up with my discus tank upstairs. I'm really proud of that one. I think that looks great at the moment. I've got a sump to build. I want to build a new sump for my Mega Tank. I've been toying with the idea of doing like a shower filter across the top, building something across the top in the entire length of the tank, or just leaving it as a sump. I'm going to leave it as a sump now, but that might be another future project of doing like a backy shower across the top of the thing. I might reach out to Phil as well, because I'll show you this. Everything's going to unplug and it's going to go wrong. So that's the top of Mega Tank. I think that's crying out for like some kind of Aquarium Adventures sign or poster. So I know that's part of Phil's business. We might reach out to them and see if we can't get something there that looks a bit fancy. And probably 100 other things that I can't think of at the moment. So, we've got about 20 minutes left. If anyone has any questions, now is the time, because I'll probably get to them before we get timed up. Martin says you need a big cleaner fish, because they will sort out all the detritus issues for you in Mega Tank. If only. Well, most of the time when people suggest that, it's like oh no, because most of the things that are suggested as cleaner fish are fish that just make things even dirtier. I might have to. I've got some like what do you call them? Power heads. Is that what I'm thinking of? Power heads? Have I just made that word up? Is that a thing? Fans inside aquariums. Fans? Spinny thing. Oh, I've lost the power of speech again. For circulation. Oh, right, I'll start again. I've got some of these circulation pumps. No, that's not it, is it? I don't know what I mean. But they're all the sucker types, and it doesn't really work with the liquid rubber, so I've been thinking about designing some kind of 3D printed bracket that I can mount them on, because on any of my larger tanks I tend to find that if you can get the circulation right and get the flow right, you can pick up a lot of the crap that ends up sitting on there the substrate, if you can pick that up and get it into the overflows, that's half the battle, or so it's 90% of the battle, and then you can just clean your sump and clean it out your sump, and that's fine. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to achieve that in this tank yet, so I might have to design some kind of bracket that will let me get some circulation pumps. I feel like that's the wrong word, but I can't remember what the right word is. But you know what I mean. Do they have any hiding spots? My emerald cories like to hide a lot. In the first couple of days, they mostly hid behind stuff. Yeah, that could be it. If cories are swimming in the mid-water because they don't have any other options, because they feel like they need to keep on the move, I guess, possibly. Silver Creek Aquatics. I'm late but here. Hey, old Graham. Finally got me a modern laptop today. Oh, congratulations. If it helps, turnover is only part of the issue. Stopping mulm from forming is the main objective. A powerhead. Yeah, that is a word. A powerhead positioned correctly will force poop into... Yeah, exactly. And that's what I try and achieve on most of my tanks, is to... If you can get the flow right in your aquarium and it doesn't... So there are two ways that I always go about this. Either try and get it into the overflow so that it can collect it by the filter, or just collect it somewhere so I only have to go and do a gravel vac in one area, because I know that's where all the crap's going to be, because that's where it gets collected. So it's new to me, so I need to figure these things out. I need to let this tank live for a little while and see how I can figure it out. Steiner, where can I buy a calendar? You can buy it on my... Well, you probably can't buy it on my website. I think it might cost too much to send to you if you're not in the UK, and as it's a charity thing, I'm trying to maximise the revenue on this one and give all the money to charity. So if you really want one, drop me an email or something like that. We'll figure it out, how I can get it to you. David says it's been in about 3 days, plenty of hiding spots, other fish don't seem to bother them. I hope they're just investigating the new tank. They could be. How are the discus in the new tank? Are they okay in the hallway with people walking past? I'm looking to move my discus tank out of the living room, and mindful we will be walking past more frequently. They are fine. Yeah, it was one of the things I was worried about, was would there be... I mean, my entire family are like elephants. They don't do anything gracefully. Sorry if you're listening. So, clumpy teenagers, enthusiastic younger kids running back and forward. I'm not exactly svelte, even though I have lost some weight. But yeah, they've been fine. I don't think they ever like it when we sneak up on them as such. So if the lights are off and the lights suddenly come on and we're like, hi. But I've noticed no difference from when they were in the living room. So I think it's been fine. I think a powerhead... that was the right word. Well done, me. A powerhead helps a lot with waste removal, personally. I've tested it several times. Good. Big Shrimpin', hello. Pardon me. I'd love to buy a calendar, but I think a better option might be, can I print one up here in Canada? I will then gladly donate to a GoFundMe. Well, maybe we'll do that. We might get like a digital version for the non-UK people. We'll see if we can figure that out. Wave makers, yeah, that's what I was going for. Wave makers, yeah. Powerheads, same thing, yeah. Sorry, that was my autocorrect. What did you say? I missed it, sorry. Ross says, I'll take this opportunity to wish everyone have a great Christmas and the very best for 2023. Good night all. Thank you, Ross. And good night yourself. 50-50 as to whether there will be a live stream next week. I have family visiting and they're meant to be coming on the Friday, so if they arrive on the Friday, I might want to spend it with them. I might do a live stream with my dad. You never know. we can have a special guest. He always pops in. He's like my biggest supporter. He buys all my merch, or wears all my merch. He always pops in on my live streams. But he might not want to do that, so we never know. Related to the Powerhead / Wavemaker talk, I'm looking at doing a long temperate water river aquarium with a powerhead and sponge filters. Which end should the sponge filters be? So hang on. I'm looking at doing a long temperate water river aquarium with a powerhead and sponge filters. Which end should be... I don't think it really matters. So your powerheads are just creating flow. Whether you have your sponge filters at the same end as the powerhead or the opposite end from the powerheads, I don't think it would necessarily matter, because they'll still be able to pull water. If it was me and I was trying to do a river aquarium, I'd probably be looking at whether I can do some kind of external filtration, because that can only add to that water movement. So you can take from one end and return to the other. It doesn't have to be a sump, it could be an external filter, like a canister filter, it could be even a hang-on back filter. I think if you're scaping and trying to make a nice looking tank, I love sponge filters. I think they're great. I've got them in almost all my tanks. Certainly in the fish room I've all got sponge filters. But if you're trying to make a tank look nice, I think getting as much out of the tank as possible is half the battle, or hiding it. So if you can hide a sponge filter, then fine, go for it. They're great. But maybe something like a canister filter might be better for creating that flow. You might not even need the additional power heads or wave makers or whatever we're calling them these days. But if you're sticking with the sponge filters, I don't think positioning would make that much of a difference. Here's Rebecca to disagree with me, probably. No. Ideally, I think of pulling the water towards one spot in the tank. Yeah, I mean, but for filtration, I don't think it matters. As long as they're in the water, they will be filtering the water. It's Christmas, do what you need, quite right. I put a sponge like a Hamburg matin filter in both ends, so you end up with a diffused flow. Yeah. So Hamburg matin filters are where if you take a tank like this, for instance... Sorry, I thought I saw a load of eggs there. You might divvy up the last 10% of that and put a big piece of sponge, and then an air filter behind it with an uplift that pushes out through the sponge, so the circulation in the tank is kind of doing this circular motion, and it's been drawn through that sponge. Really good, really efficient method of filtration. Is there a difference between Wavemaker and Powerhead? I can't work out one. Well, no, maybe that's why I got confused, because I couldn't remember which one I was talking about. Wavemakers, I would generally say, would be things that had like variable controls, so you can set them to pulse and things like that. Whereas Powerheads are just on or off. That would be the only thing that I would say there. Both at the same end with the return flow, push along the top, pull towards the bottom. Yeah, Hamburger Matin filter. I'm thinking of using my glass aquarium with foil bubble wrap on the back and sides to help with the electric bill. That will definitely help. Oh, I've unclicked you. There you go. I'm thinking of insulating my glass aquarium with foil bubble wrap on the back and the sides to help with the electric bill. It will help. Cover it, make sure it's got a lid, because most of the heat gets out that way. But if you can cover up the sides and the back and you're happy with that, that will also help. It makes a huge difference. So I took, in fact, Mega Tank. the floor here is a concrete floor, so it gets quite cold. And I foolishly left the sump just straight on the concrete floor. So I was struggling to get, I think it was topping out with the heaters that I'd used, and I'd used underpowered heaters, so that was all my fault. But with the heaters that I'd used, I was struggling to get any more than, I think, 27.8 degrees Celsius, which is plenty, more than I was aiming for anyway. But I just happened to look at it and go, oh, I insulated the rest of the floor, and I forgot to do it under the tank, but I've insulated the bottom of the tank, so that's fine. I'll add some insulation. So I've added some insulation on there, and I've lifted out the temporary sump thing that I've got there and put in 4 sheets of polystyrene under that. And within a day, the temperature shot up. I got to remove 250 watts of heating power to get to the same temperature I was already getting at, because of the amount of heat that was being lost by that relatively small area of a sump touching the concrete. So these little changes do make a big difference. I do have a spare canister filter, and that was my original plan. I just switched off so many aquariums to sponge filters recently. Yeah, and sponge filters are so much easier to run and cheaper to run, so that's part of the equation. It's not a bad thing. Sarah has just ordered a calendar and a t-shirt. Thank you very much, Sarah. Wavemaker has no filter part or any way to add one. Powerhead usually just connect to a filter or hose. Yes. Yeah, I suppose so. I'm going to have to get a wavemaker and a powerhead out, aren't I? Yeah, so if I think about this tank, I don't know why I'm showing you it because you can't see it because it's dark. There is like an internal sump on that filter, and I added a power head because it's got a power head which is just returning the water, but it's drawing all the other water through the internal sump. Whereas a wave maker tends to be just your fan that just pushes water in a direction. You don't connect it to anything necessarily. I don't know. I mean, potato. I bought quite a few power heads without one, or maybe they're wave makers. Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe nobody knows what these things are. We've got it all wrong. I can see worrying about heat loss in your aquarium in the summertime, but in the winter it's just that much less. Your furnace has to work. Well, it is, and every bit of, when my boiler's on, my anxiety is rising. I don't want the boiler on. So the same with aquarium heaters. Like I had heaters in certain tanks, and every now and again I'd catch them out the corner of my eye. The little red light would go on. I'd be like, why is that on? That doesn't need to be on. Plenty warm enough in here. What's going on? Oh, get that off. I'm not spending 300 watts on. Oh. So lots of my tanks now have the heaters unplugged problems. I don't need heaters in the tanks. I don't want them kicking on for that 10 minutes needlessly. And it's anxiety is with the whole cost of living thing. My house is freezing. It costs a fortune to heat my house. This is the warmest room in the house, so that's why I've moved in here to do all my normal work, my proper job. Because at least then I can justify heating this room if I'm going to use it for my day job as well. Anyway, last 5 minutes. If anyone's got any more questions, in fact, I'll be still stuck on my face, so I don't want that. Anyone's got any more questions, now is the time to get them in there as we watch Humphrey chase down this poor little fish. I mean, I'm taking this as quite a good thing, given that the smaller fish, the gold swam, isn't actually hiding from Humphrey actively. Although they are playing a wee game of chase every now and again. But I think as long as I keep them well fed, get this gold swam to put on a little bit more size. I might have rushed it a little bit. But as long as I keep Humphrey well fed, I don't think he's going to go for it. And if it was more fearful, I'm pretty sure he'd be hiding a lot more. So, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Where do babies come from? I'll have to ask your mum that one. That's true in hot countries, but my fish room is in a detached garage running off an electric radiator, so any insulation is bonus. Yeah, I think even in the best of times, if you're not insulating, if you have a fish room, you're not insulating it, and that isn't your first point of. If it's not your first consideration about building a fish room is insulation, then you're doing it wrong, because it can go wrong. Whether you're in a hot country or a cold country or a country with massive swings, if it's cold outside, you want it to be warm inside. If it's warm outside, you want it to be cold inside. That as a premise is fine, but what you actually want is you want to be able to hit a temperature that you choose and have no environmental factors affect that temperature. That's the ideal goal. So I've got more work to do in here to make it more insulated, but I've been monitoring how often is my heating coming on, and the more insulation and the more care I take in here, the less the heating comes on, which is exactly what I want. And when it turns to summer and it's another 40-degree summer, I don't want to be worrying that my tanks are rising too much, and this insulation is going to do that same job, so it's going to save me money all over. You're not risking condensation and problems like that with damp and rot and all that kind of stuff. Any insulation you can do just makes such a big difference. More larger cichlids might help diffuse anything. Well, I was in my local Maidenhead Aquatics last week, and they had a pair of Oscars that had been surrendered that were probably about the same size as Humphrey, which I might be going back to have a look at them. Insulation is a must here. I think insulation should be a must anywhere. It really is. You can usually see the impeller on a wave maker. It pulls water from all around the impeller and pushes it out directly. Yeah, that makes sense. Whereas a power head isn't all enclosed and just has an outlet for you to stick a hose on. Yeah, that would make sense. The pool insulation and windows on my fish plant pet room makes it so much more pricey. Poor insulation, I guess. I want to move next year somewhere better. Yeah, well, we have these windows in our house. What are they called? Picture windows. You know, when they stick out and they jut out from your house. But the amount of condensation that we get in there, I'm having to mop it up every single day. It might be off topic, but to save on the power bill, I'm currently using my boat's deep cycle battery on both of my aquariums. With a full charge, I usually get away with 5 days usage. That's interesting. I did reach out to, a couple. Well, one of them reached out to me, but I reached out to a couple more. These life batteries from Jackery and Anchor and things, where it's a big old unit, but it can provide lots of power. They're meant for people who live off grid or camper vans to power them for a week at a time. I thought, that'd be perfect for the aquarium, because if we do get power cuts, I could plug in the air pump to it, and that'd be every tank getting filtered almost. So interesting. Why is it I cannot pay on your website but cannot get it to PayPal? Is it you? Yeah, I don't ship to Norway. I think that is the problem. I've set it up deliberately like that because international shipping is ridiculous. It used to be a hell of a lot cheaper. But like I say, get in touch, send me an email, something along those lines. If you want a calendar, I will find a way to get you one. If so, how do you remove the eggs from whatever they spawn on without damage? Sorry, I must have missed one. Do you breed any angelfish? Well, not on purpose, but I have had angelfish who have bred. How do you remove the eggs from whatever they spawn on without damaging them? You don't, you just leave them. They generally do their own thing. This is without the heaters. Includes an Eheim Pro 3, JBL Crystal, all off that one battery. That sounds like a good. Joe's back. That tank is overstocked. Right, I think we're getting near to the end. In fact, we've gone over the end. If you want to carry on your fishy journey, remember you've got the Discord server. The links will be down in the description. Go and check out Discord. Say hello, introduce yourself, tell me where you are in the world, all that good stuff. Share your pictures of your aquariums. If you want to carry on your fishy journey on YouTube, I'm sure the Cold Water Aquatics channel will be streaming. If you go over there and say hello, Graham sent me, or Aquarium Adventures sent me, he'll give you a warm welcome. Otherwise, go and watch a video. Click down below, join the channel if you want to join the channel for amazing emojis. And just go and watch one of my videos, that'll do. I'm trying and have likely failed to get to 15,000 subscribers before the end of the year, but I'm a couple of hundred out. So we were close, we almost got there. Thank you for everyone who has watched all my videos so far. We'll see you in the next one. It might not be next week, but it might be, so I like to keep you on edge. And then, if not next week, the following week, definitely. If I don't speak to you before, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But we might see you next week rather. Cheery bye.